Hi, this is the Love Your Life Show with Susie Pettit, Certified Life and Wellness Coach. Join Susie as she helps you with your wellness and mindset so you can live a life you love. Let's go, warriors!
Why, hello, dear warriors, and welcome to another week with me, Susie Pettit, your Certified Life and Wellness Coach. And I am so thrilled you're clicking play because I want to check in with you and see how you did this past week feeling your anxiety. Yep, that's right. I'm the coach that encourages you to feel anxious instead of acting from it, running from it. Okay? I want you to sit in the discomfort, to bring your attention to that tight chest, to your tight throat, to that quickened breath, that heavy pressure feeling that I hate. I hate that feeling. I do. So why? Why would I want you to feel anxious? Well, you tell me. What do you do instead of feeling anxiety? What do you do to avoid feeling the tight chest or that like crawling skin feeling? If you're like me, most of us, you engage in some sort of avoidance behavior. Okay, anxiety is a huge cause of our over everythinging, I call it. Over drinking, overeating, overthinking, overworking, over avoiding, over procrastinating, over involving ourselves in our kids' lives. So over parenting, over you name iting. Which is why last week my guidance was to allow and accept your anxiety, to have more of a calm and accepting, sort of like an anxiety happens mindset, so that instead of trying to escape it by shoving it down with those actions we spoke of, those overing things, we allow it to be there. Okay, why would we want to do this? First of all, we'll have a lot less problems in our life that the overdoing creates. Okay? Drinking or eating or shopping or overparenting, instead of feeling anxious, doesn't solve the long-term solution because we're not addressing the cause of the problem. Sure, a glass of wine might take the edge off in the short term, or telling our kids, giving them advice when they're not asking for it, might make us feel better in that short blip, but it doesn't address the cause of the problem. That's just a short-term fix. It's like putting a Band-Aid on an oozing wound while never addressing the oozing wound. Okay, my kind of coaching is all about addressing that wound. What fun! No, but seriously, I call it causal coaching. I look at the cause of the problem. Like, what's the infection? Okay, that's why I use the thought model. The cause is always in our thoughts. It's always about how we're thinking about whatever's going on in our lives. Okay, keep listening. If you're like, damn it, I don't want to hear this, keep listening. This empowers us. Okay, we know from brain science that our feelings come from our thoughts every single time. It's not the circumstance that causes us to feel anxious. It's our thoughts. Our thoughts cause our feelings. Now, yes, I hear you. What about those days when you wake up just feeling anxious? Or you sort of slow down a little and you're just feeling anxious. And you just say, but Susie, I haven't even thought a thought yet. I get it because I've had those mornings. Ugh, I'm with you. Yuck. And yet, this is a good time to point out that most of the thinking we do, more than 95% of it, is subconscious, meaning it's under our consciousness. We're not aware of the thoughts that we're thinking. That doesn't mean that the thoughts are not causing the feeling. It doesn't mean we're not thinking. Okay, our brain actually fires up 65 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and the majority of them will pass unaware to us in our subconsciousness. And yet, regardless of whether we're aware of the thought that we're thinking, when we think a thought, we will feel a feeling. Our brain rains down energy called energy in motion, aka an emotion. Energy in motion. The emotion always comes from a thought. So dear one, as I said last week in the podcast episode, the first step is to allow the anxiety. Don't fight the feeling. It's there. We've already thought the thought. The brain has already fired it up. And so now let yourself feel the feeling. Okay, feeling the feeling is very different than reacting to the feeling. The better we get at feeling, instead of rushing in to react from it with some food, some drink, some overparenting, some actions, advice giving, the more we will enjoy life. I know it sounds completely counterintuitive. Okay, I'm saying get good at feeling anxious and you'll feel better? Yeah, I am. I've had the experience in my life. Okay, I'm not saying get good at acting from your anxious feeling. This just reinforces in our brain an anxiety habit loop, which never solves the cause of the problem. We never get to the cause, which is our thinking. I'm saying get good at noticing it's there, noticing the feelings there in a calm and compassionate way. Okay? That noticing was last week's episode. Go back and listen to that when you're done here. If you haven't already, I'll put the links in the show notes, which just means you scroll down near them, whatever you're listening to, and look at the purple text and you'll find it. Okay, good news is today we're getting to the thinking. Okay, we're getting into the cause. Last week we hammered into the sit with it and allow it. This week I'm sharing a massive way you can feel better today when you're feeling anxious. I go much more into depth with this in my group or individual coaching, so get your Bahootie over into that midlife membership if you're a woman over 40 and regularly worry or feel anxious, which is like most of us. Okay. Today, what I'm giving you is scratching the surface with this tool, and coaching is where I can help you practice it routinely so as to move out of the negative habit loop of worry and anxiety. Instead of just saying, I feel worried a lot and anxious, let's do something about it. I'm all about the action. Okay. I do not believe that we are here on this earth to be in a state of suffering. Okay. So scroll down in those show notes and join today. Don't waste one more day doing this on your own. Not only does our best learning come in groups, okay, doing it alone takes longer and feels worse. Not what I want for you, dear warrior. So sign up. Come on, Susie, teach us what we want to do. And then let's dig into this step. Okay, bring your lessons from this step into the group. So first, remember that our brain's main purpose is to keep us alive. And in order to do that, our brain is constantly looking to the future and trying to predict what will happen. Okay, it's trying to point out potential threats to us, okay, looking for things that may go wrong to keep us alive. So what I want you to start to notice is that it often does this with what if questions. So it would look like saying, what if he says this? What if she does that? What if this happens? What if that doesn't happen? Okay, we know why our brain does this. That it's not an evil thing in our head intentionally programming us to worry or feel anxious. And yet we don't need this level of alarm in most areas of our life anymore. Okay, what I've found for myself and many of the women I work with is that our brain's what if muscle is overdeveloped and hyperactive. It's so quick to go into that let's think of all the worst case scenarios. Okay, so let's hit this head on. First thing that'll help you start feeling better is to meet your brain where it is. Okay, let's look at that what if that your brain is throwing your way and go there. Okay, what I mean by that is when your brain fires up a what if, answer it. What if she says that? Yeah, what if? What if he says that? Well, what if? What if my daughter's homesick? What if my son feels peer pressure and does something he doesn't want to do? What if my sister's doctor visit doesn't go well? Okay, all those what ifs, yes, warriors, I want you to go there to answer the what if. This is important and super helpful, and I'm not some weird sadist. Okay, without answering the what if, our brain holds on to that what if in the background of our consciousness, and no matter what we do, no matter what we eat, who we talk to, what advice we give, what we look at on Facebook, we will feel that hum of anxiety. It is much more effective for us to answer the what if instead of spending all day pretending not to think about what we're thinking. I've compared our brain to a computer many times in this podcast, and this is another great opportunity for us to use that metaphor because I find it very helpful. In this case, think of your what if question that you're not answering as a Google search window open in your brain. Okay? Your brain is using energy to keep that window open, and it's actually in the background of your brain using some of those 65 to 80,000 thoughts that we're thinking unconsciously. It's looking for horrendous answers to your question that you've asked it. Okay, our brain is I just say this all the time, it's an amazing supercomputer. It goes to work trying to find answers to the questions we're asking it. Okay? And I like, so that when we're like, oh my God, what if, my daughter's homesick, it's going to work there. And if we're not addressing it, it's just running in the background, creating this feeling of ick. I like to be more in control than that. And I like my clients and my warriors to be more in control of that. Answering your what if puts you more in control. And yet I know it's not where we are inclined to go. Okay, so yes, I'm encouraging you to look at that what if, to look at the worst case scenario your brain is handing up to you, to go there. Follow the what if to the end, I say. Okay, as I said, this is work best done with a coach. I help people there. Something I train my clients to do so then they can do it on their own. Because we want to close that what if search window for our brain. Okay, quickly, what does that look like? This looks like answering the what if. What if your sister's doctor appointment doesn't go well? What does that look like? What if she gets that awful diagnosis? What then? Allow your brain to answer that. Right now, you're like, oh, I don't want to go there. Go there. Okay, it's going there in the background, so go there consciously. We want to run away, which leaves us with that open window in our brain, leaves us feeling that low hum of anxiety, sometimes a higher hum of anxiety, and choosing lots of Band-Aids or numbing behavior to soothe from that feeling. Rather, following your what if train to the end pops the anxiety bubble and allows you to logically and clearly address the future imagined problem. What we usually get to at the end of that what if trail is some form of like a wow, that would suck, combined with and I would handle it. Okay, say your sister does get the diagnosis. Your kid does do the risky behavior. Your daughter is homesick. That would suck. And you would handle it. We're incredibly resilient beings. And yet we forget that when we let the brain run wild in what if land, or we forget that when we let the brain run wild in what if land, we forget that we're incredibly resilient beings. Okay, this is one important and helpful way to stop that overthinking and rumination. In fact, you could pause the podcast right now if you're not out walking or driving and think of something that you've been what ifing about, something you've been worrying about or anxious about, and answer that what if. Okay, answer that what if. Let me know. Email me. Tell me what your experience was and pop in that what if bubble. Okay? We usually get to, as I said, some form of that, wow, that would suck. Combined with it, like, I would handle it. Here's what I would do. Okay? The next step after you've answered the negative what if is to realize that thinking that what if is using your imagination to think of a future you don't want. Okay? It's the difference between what I call the what if monster and the what if fairy. What the what? Stick with me because this is hugely helpful. Okay, think about this. Whenever we're thinking of the future, we don't know what the future brings. We are using our mind, our amazing imagination and creativity to create something that doesn't exist yet. Okay, most of us, if we leave our brain unmanaged, it goes to work with its negativity bias and its negative predictive nature to imagine a future we don't want. Like, we don't want our sister's diagnosis to go wrong. We don't want our child to be homesick. We don't want our son to engage in risky behavior, but yet we're using our brain's energy to think of those things. Look at us, using our powerful thinking brains to think of a future we don't want. Okay, we use our worry to create futures that we're just like, we want no part of. Silly humans. What's even sillier is that we defend this to ourselves and to others. Okay, what are you telling yourself right now? You might be telling yourself that, well, Susie, it's good to be prepared. You need to think of what will happen if the worst thing happens. What if your daughter does feel homesick? Okay? You think you're being responsible, sending your time and energy worrying about something you don't want to have happen. Okay, you're like, I want to have my ducks in a row. I get it. I get it. There's a part of you that thinks you can help or prepare for the future if you think through all the possible what ifs. Okay, so that's what I'm giving you when I'm saying, okay, so go for it. Answer the what ifs. Answer it. But then don't go back there. Because, dear warriors, let's pause for a moment here. Okay, if there's anything these last couple of years have taught us, it's that we can't plan for every future negative thing. We can sit and worry and imagine all the worst things happening to our friends and family and use our worry muscle in such a strong way. And still, let's just think, you know what? A virus might fly in from a bat to shut the whole world down. I didn't see that coming. So, hey, when a what if comes up, first stop to answer it. Answer the what if. Close the search engine window in your brain. Then stop to consciously choose how you want to use your amazing, creative, imaginative brain. Do you want to use the what if monster or the what if fairy? Okay, unchecked, our brain will use the what if monster. What if the caterers don't show up? What if my son gets injured at camp? What if my husband botches his presentation? Those are all care of the what if monster. Mean monster. Imagining futures we don't want. I want you to be more in control of how you're using your brain, to be more intentional in your thinking. So let me introduce you to the what if fairy. The what if fairy is equally available to us as the what if monster. Okay? The what if fairy uses our imagination to create futures we want. The what if fairy says things like, what if this works out better than we ever imagined? Or what if everything goes smoothly? Or what if my daughter's experience at camp is the best ever? Or what if this is more fun than I think? Okay, now before you go all negative Nancy on me and tell me that kind of thinking is irresponsible and delusional, because I hear that a lot, okay, let yourself hold on to one of those thoughts for a hot second. Remember, we feel how we feel because of the thought we're thinking. Okay, think of something this next month that you're worrying about or feeling anxious about. And ask yourself, what if it ends up better than I think? How does that feel? I'll tell you one thing. When you're telling me that I'm being irresponsible and delusional by using the what if fairy, I'm telling you that it's actually the exact opposite. We do not take proactive and helpful action from an anxious brain. We take reactive action. We try to hyper control things. Okay, often getting over involved in things we don't need to get involved in, like giving our husband advice for his speech in something we know nothing about. Okay, or our teens or our adult children's lives. Okay, laugh out loud. I'm just saying, I'm on this journey with you. I know from experience that when I choose the what if fairy, it's some of the most responsible, helpful thinking I can do. Okay, when I spend my time dreaming of a future I want, I am so much better able to support the dreams of those around me in an uplifting and kind way. The reality is we don't know which is going to happen, negative or positive, helpful or unhelpful. If the negative does happen, what do? Well, if we're not riddled with anxiety and negative feeling states, we rise up and meet the challenge. Okay? In the meantime, until that negative comes, I'm always going to argue for you choosing thoughts in the moment that genuinely make you feel better. This isn't about hiding from your thoughts or using positive toxicity. Okay? The hiding from your thoughts is addressed when we answer the what if. So answer the freaking what if. And the positive toxicity is more in the present and dealing with what is. Okay, that's sort of advanced level coaching, so talk to me about that in a session. What I'm talking about is when you're thinking of the future, a future where we don't yet know what will happen. Why not focus your brain on what you want? On the positive. It's your choice. Warrior, are you going to use the what if fairy or the what if monster? It's up to you fighting back against that thought that you're doing something helpful by worrying or feeling anxious about a future event. It does not help it. It doesn't help your daughter to worry about her future potential homesickness. It doesn't help your son to worry about his future peer pressure. I've done many episodes on how that sort of anxious parenting is contagious to our kids and those around us. It makes them feel less confident, more anxious. That's a great path to raise anxious kids. That's not the legacy I want to leave at all. Okay? I'm here to say, first of all, that it's never too late to parent differently. I don't care how old your parents are. So join the membership or sign up for a coaching session, or if your kids are still aged 10 to 25, take my parenting teens class. It helps you to not create as anxious kids. Okay? It gives you those tools. But let me help you model differently and feel better. In the meantime, For all of you that I do work with or have worked with or have already taken the class, let's have a week of spreading some awesome fairy magic dust. If you're listening to this live time, I am about to move to the other side of the world. Okay, I am upending my life. June 30th, I fly out to the other side of the world. Trust me, the what if monster has been throwing some thoughts my way. And yet, I'm holding strong in my support of the what if fairy. I am consciously and consistently, deliberately thinking on purpose thoughts that the what if fairy can hand me. I'm thinking, I can't wait to see how this ends up. Better than I imagined. Okay, I can't wait to see how this is even better than I ever thought it would be. So how about you? Can I sprinkle some fairy dust your way? Where can you start wondering what it will feel like when it all ends up better than you ever thought? What if it's all better than you imagined? That thing you were worrying about this summer. All of it. I'm throwing magic fairy dust out to you, dear warrior. And just quietly, I'm asking that you throw it back at me. Big love to you, warrior. We're on this journey together. I love you. I support you. I am here for you. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the Love Your Life show. If you want to hear more from Susie and support the show, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Also, leave a review and share this podcast with friends and family. Go get 'em, warriors.